Wendy Williams' team has announced that the famed talk show host has been tragically diagnosed with dementia and aphasia. Since this stunning revelation, more information about her neurodegenerative conditions has come out thanks to a documentary that aired on Lifetime called Where is Wendy Williams? Now, perhaps even more devastating than her diagnosis was this two-part documentary that candidly showed her declining health, her battle against a court-ordered guardian, and just her horrible, horrible alcohol addiction. Now, in the documentary, which showed just how much of a toll her lymphedema has taken on her Graves' disease has taken on her, and her alcoholism, fans saw her just absolutely breaking down, her hair falling out, her yelling at her team for and just snapping over the smallest of things. I mean, at one point, she even yelled at a nail esthetician for putting on one too many coats of a nail polish. I mean, it was not the Wendy that fans have known for decades and have grown to love for her honesty and her just wild commentary about pop culture. Instead, it was a woman who was a husk of her former self. To make matters worse, her son, Kevin Hunter Jr., revealed in the documentary that her dementia is alcohol induced, meaning all of the alcohol she's imbibed over the years affected her brain. It's the reason why she has no memories, she can barely speak, and why she still remains in a treatment center. However, what was really odd about the whole thing and still remains very bizarre is that her family doesn't really know where she is. They know she's in a facility and they say she's getting better, but they say that Wendy is allowed to reach out to them, but they can't contact her. So they're trying to be involved in her life. They're trying to help her get out from this court-ordered guardianship, which was put into place a couple of years ago when her bank, Wells Fargo, saw signs that she was not altogether there and locked down her finances out of fear that she was being taken advantage of. Now, viewers have expressed concern on social media after watching the documentary about the people who surround Wendy, including her jeweler turned manager, Will Selby. But Wendy hasn't spoken out since the documentary aired. Instead, she released a statement after her team shared her diagnosis and said that she was thankful for the prayers, thankful for her fan support, but needed space and privacy at this time. Now, what's really odd is that her former DJ, fans will know DJ Booth, who worked on her show for years, told TMZ Live that staffers didn't know what was going on. And if they did, they didn't know the extent to which she was sick. Now, that is a full change in tune because just a couple of years ago, DJ Booth came out on Instagram and replied to a fan who had asked him why he left the show. And he said he left because the staffers knew what was going on with Wendy, but were too afraid to speak their minds because they were afraid of getting fired or losing their jobs. Now, it's a little bit odd that DJ Booth is saying that nobody had a clue what was going on when just 4 years ago he said everybody knew what was going on and didn't do anything about it. DJ Booth was, of course, replaced by DJ Sus One, but Wendy weirdly never acknowledged the change. It was like one day he was there and then he wasn't. And no one's really heard from him since, but of course, everyone has a thing to say, including her ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, who came out on Instagram in a since deleted message, raising all sorts of accusations about how family members were involved in trying to take advantage of her. The show, of course, behind the scenes was determined to take advantage of her and just use her as a cash cow. Now, interestingly enough, Wendy's niece said in the documentary that Wendy's divorce from Kevin Hunter, the pandemic, her alcoholism, and so much more all played a role in her horrific decline. Page Six actually broke the news about Kevin Hunter's and Wendy Williams' divorce. It was then pretty much well known, now it's since been confirmed, that he was having an affair and he has since welcomed a child with his former mistress turned fiance. And that was the beginning of the end for Wendy. Kevin told us frequently that he cared for her and wanted what was best for her, But fans also accused him of being part of the problem, and now her niece echoes that as well. Her son, meanwhile, just wants her to move back to Florida, where he said she was at her best health when he was taking care of her, watching her, keeping her sober, and putting her on a vegan diet. Now she remains in a California facility with no access, though she did break down crying in the documentary, saying she has no money. In hindsight, I don't know if it's fair to say that staffers didn't know what was going on, because during a Halloween episode years ago, Wendy passed out live on air when she was dressed as the Statue of Liberty. They attributed it to her Graves' disease, dehydration, the usual go-to excuses. But months later, she admitted to living in a sober house because she had relapsed with her addiction. Fans also grew increasingly concerned about her health because, due to her Graves' disease, her eyes started protruding more and more. It's very sad. They do protrude out of her head. Her feet and her legs have become almost like hardened, like very hardened, like almost like rhinoceros skin. And you can just see the toll that this autoimmune disease, plus her lymphedema, plus all this alcohol abuse has taken on her system. It's just done a tremendous amount of damage that unfortunately doctors say cannot be undone. For the latest on Wendy, head to page6.com.